So can you briefly describe your company and your roles?
Yeah, sure. So we are Exclusive Media. We are a brand consulting agency. So really what that is we work with entrepreneurs to help them develop their business into a brand. We execute your typical digital marketing services, social media, email marketing, paid media, SEO, but we add that element of brand onto that, which is helping the entrepreneur identify how their business is different, what their brand mission is, and then helping them articulate that through social and all of our digital marketing. I am the founder. Uh, we've been going on for now, this is year number 2. And this is, I guess, our lead brand strategist, Shiv.
Yes, so my role at Exclusive is to manage some of our clients. So that means I'm the point person for communicating with the client as well as coming up with the marketing and branding strategy, and then overseeing our team to execute the marketing strategy, and just kind of also working on some operations internally as well.
Very cool. So yeah, let's start with the beginning. So what projects were you working on before we engaged?
Yeah, so before we met, well, I guess it wasn't even necessarily before we met, before we actually started our arrangement or agreement to decide to work together. We had we had 3 or 4 clients, and we were executing, our digital marketing, our brand strategy stuff. We were in the point of understanding that we need to grow. We need to be better at some of the things we were doing. Myself as a founder, I started off by doing a lot of the things on my own. So I was doing a lot of the social, I was doing a lot of the email marketing. And then I just realized, hey, I can't necessarily do all this by myself. So before we met, it was, really at that point where I started to bring people on and try to, delegate some of my tasks.
Sounds good.
Cool.
So what were the primary problems that you were encountering and what caused it?
Yeah, so I think the biggest problem for us was I was the one doing most of the work when it came to social and email, and I was bringing on people who were new to the role, or who are even new to really doing those things. No one really was doing social media, email marketing. So I was basically just trying to tell them how I used to do things, and it was very brief. It was an email, it was a meeting. Hey, look, this is what you need to do. And I just quickly started to realize that that wasn't working, mainly because the way I was doing things for myself wasn't necessarily the best way for them to do things. And there wasn't really a template or anything that they could really refer to kind of understand what the role is, what I was expecting of them, etc. So I think that was our biggest problem.
So what was happening because of this problem?
I was not happy. I was confused. I think I would say that too. I was confused. I didn't know what the problem was. I thought I was telling them what I needed. They were telling me. Thankfully, I'm conscious enough to have these conversations with them and try to figure out, okay, why isn't this working? And they were just, hey, I really don't understand what you want from me. You said this, you said that. So it was real confusion when I thought, oh, I did tell you this, or I didn't know that you needed to know this. So it was really just a matter of confusion and trying to, and then that confusion turned into frustration.
Yeah. So Shiv, what was your experience with that too?
Yeah, I would reiterate all of that from the other end. So when I came into my role, it was clear pretty quickly. I mean, although like I was working pretty closely with Zaire, so you would think that I could, I would be able to figure it out, but still, I soon realized that there really was no clear outline of my responsibilities, my tasks in terms of deliverables, or in terms of how to do certain things. We would talk about this and that, and Zaire would do his best to explain it, but there was always a sense of a little bit of confusion, a little bit of lack of clarity. I would never felt, or not, in the beginning, I didn't feel like I, I was put into the role and like I knew what I had to do. I didn't know exactly what I had to do.
Yeah, that definitely sounds like the problem, especially for the starting out a new company and
Mm-hmm.
getting your bearings. So how did you first hear about us and what piqued your interest?
Yeah, so this is the funny story. So I was going around, again, business owner, walking or trying to be more involved. Went to a couple of networking events. Met Grant at a networking event. His explanation to me was, "Hey, I create, these templates to help businesses." Well, first off, he explained his experience. I actually come from an engineering background. He said that he was working kind of in that type of field, and kind of so I was able to relate pretty quickly just how confusing that job role is. And I was surprised to know that a lot of those agencies don't really have templates and onboarding documents to help people kind of go on. So we connected that way initially. And then, yeah, then he told me what he was doing. I was at the point of knowing that I was going to grow my team. So again, I was conscious enough to know it would be great to bring someone on with an outline of what they need to get done. So that immediately is what piqued my interest. It was a need that I know was pretty obvious need, right? You can't really ignore that. It was something that I was dealing with daily and still trying to figure out. So it was kind of like and I think I might even said this when we were talking, is like, I thank God, like this made this networking event worth it, because I was able to find someone who can help me in this right now.
That's so awesome to hear. I'm
Yeah.
really glad.
Yeah.
So then what were your first thoughts before working with us?
My first thoughts were, honestly, I thought it was gonna be a quick and easy process. I thought, I would go and say, "Hey, I need a template for a social media coordinator." You would either have known what that is or do your research on what that means. Put, hey, step 1, step 2 for someone comes on, and then that'll be that. And then I could just say, this is the next one. This is the next role I need. And you would kind of just be able to, in a matter of weeks or however long, that timeline is, be able to just give me X amount of templates so I can hand off to the next person that goes into a role. That was my initial expectation.
Right.
Yeah.
And Shiv, what did you think when you first heard about me?
My first thoughts, well, I heard about you from Zaire, and he told me that we're having someone kind of consult with us on training and onboarding, stuff like that. And I thought, for we're a small startup, right? So I was just thinking, why does this make sense to do right now? Is this the best place to put our money? I mean, every startup has to make cost decisions. But I was just thinking, at this stage, I don't know if it makes sense to invest in this. I feel like this is something we can figure out ourselves. I mean, we're not some huge corporation that needs to hire these consultants. We should be able to figure out our own problems. And, that was my initial thought.
Yeah. This is super common responses to what I've been experiencing. Yeah. So why did you decide to do business with us then? Like, what made you pull the trigger on like actually going forward with it?
Well, there wasn't really it wasn't really convincing for me. Again, it was something I know I needed to get done. I think once I learned more about what the actual service offering was, once I got on that first call with you, or and understood that it's more than just a template, and really what piqued my interest the most was understanding that it's going to be a back and forth between us, which would in turn help me better understand just what even I need and what I'm looking for, right? So I think if I would have gotten what I first expected, it wouldn't have been as valuable to me, because now I'm just continuing to go where, go down the direction I was going, thinking that a template would fix it. So yeah, just hearing that first conversation, knowing that it's going to be more beneficial for me than just the template, that's kind of where it was kind of doubled down for me.
Great. So describe working with us now. So and then in what area did you get the most value?
Yeah, so it wasn't just a template at all. It was a conversation. It was a, what do you want to get out of this role? It's very unique to my business, right? I take pride in saying, a lot of companies do digital marketing. We do digital marketing different in that our, just the way we go about our processes, the way I want my team to think, the way I want us to execute, is different than how I've experienced it when working with other digital marketing companies. So the experience really is unique to what I wanted, right? And how I can better cater my business offering by helping my team kind of be aligned. So working with you guys at first, that's what it was. It was that back and forth. And then over time, as we got through the first process, I guess the first couple of steps of developing the templates, right, it turned into a back and forth between myself and my team in a safe space, right? So I can tell you, hey, look, I don't like what Shiv is doing, X, Y, and Z. And Shiv knows I'm coming from a spot of I'm trying to optimize this. I'm not complaining about you not doing this. I know it's a problem. You know it's a problem. We all know it's a problem. It probably wouldn't have come out as easy and it would have been as accepted if, if it was just me and you on a call. Right. So even now, it's kind of when we identify some of these issues, or whether we even can identify the issue, it's more so having the conversation with you and saying, this is what we're going through right now. You then saying, hey, do you see a problem in that? Or is that, where can that get better? Me now thinking, oh yeah, you're right. That's probably an issue. Shiv giving his 2 cents. And then that now becoming something that's added into that role or added into something I need to do as a leader, those types of things. So that's kind of what it is right now. We joke that you are our therapist, but that's really, how it feels sometimes.
Yeah. Shiv, so what was your experience too?
A few things. So one, to reiterate what Zaire said, it was very personal and customized to our needs. It was thorough. You got to know not only about the company and the operations and the roles, you also got to know us as just people and our strengths and weaknesses, and you were able to put it all together. And because of that, I think the more we continue to work, I think the benefits just keep increasing as we go along, because just week by week, you understand more and more and more deeply about our situation and our problems, and the relationship just continues. So that's kind of how it's gone, progressed more. And then I would say the biggest benefit that I couldn't have predicted, and I think a huge thing that you bring is having an external person to kind of peer inside and help out. Like, I wouldn't have imagined that's so valuable. I couldn't have seen that, but that I think has been a huge aspect of it. I think that's a really important part is Zaire and I are in it, and we're, it's like, it's our problem. It's like you can always give good advice to your friend, but you can never give good advice to yourself.
Right.
So yeah, you got to know us, you got to know everything, and then you're able to give your perspective on how to make improvements, an outside perspective that Zaire and I couldn't have necessarily come up with.
Right. And that's actually what I really love about this too, is that we talk, we've been talking for every week or so for a couple months. And the more I get to know you, it's like, oh, hey, remember this thing about Shiv, or remember this thing about Zaire, you guys got to, so having that relationship, I can really start to understand how you guys work together, and then even help you even more with that. So it's been exciting.
Definitely.
So what results did you achieve from working with us? And, what areas of your business life have it improved, and why do you think it improved?
So results have been optimization of our time for projects, and also just my own management time. Because one, I know now that, in our overall business structure, I'm more confident now in Shiv understanding what I need from him. So I'm less likely to look over his shoulder, right? So that's less time that I now am actually tracking to double check some of his stuff, or have more meetings with him to say, hey, are we doing this right? Because in these conversations, and just the way he responds and he outlines kind of what he's doing and what his responsibilities are, I know that he gets it. And I know that we're kind of on the same page. So I don't necessarily need to look over his shoulder for that. So that frees up some of my time, but then also just my mental space, right? I know, okay, cool. I can delegate things to Shiv and not necessarily feel like I need to schedule a meeting specifically for it. I know he understands what I mean by those things. So that was one thing as far as just my own personal time, but then time on projects have been cut down, because we not only in our process have been able to better identify roles, we've also been able to identify the process, right? So the social media marketing process is, we're going to have this one meeting, in this meeting, as a social media coordinator, these are the things you should bring to that meeting. These are the type of questions you should ask as a brand strategist. That's what you should be asking. This is what we want to leave this meeting with. So that literally cut down the amount of meetings we need to have. We've gotten better with that. We're even right now actually discussing if we can cut down even more. Some of our meetings are like an hour. Our project manager is thinking we might be able to squeeze that in a half an hour. So that's just helping us optimize. And then honestly, in the long run, because we are we're based with our clients by the hour, the more time we can cut on our external like issues in time for a client, that's more time that goes into actually putting more work into it. And we've seen that we track our hours. So we've actually seen that we're starting to align kind of where we want to be with our time. So that's been really helpful. And then I think outside of time, just like our results, I think have actually improved as well. Just with the processes, those processes have been working. We've identified them early on. They're working. We're getting better results. All of our clients are pretty happy right now. With the we're ending the towards the end of the year right now, so we're starting to look back at the year and see kind of how we progressed, and it's working. So it's all been pretty good.
That's awesome. Awesome to hear. Shiv, what about you?
So definitely more clarity in my role, and a big part was this just our process on a weekly basis of meetings and task management, and just task progression, how it gets from start to finish. We're missing less things. I think less things are slipping through the cracks. And in the long run, like Zaire said, I think we've seen the return in terms of client satisfaction, because we are on top of things. We're not on the receiving end of complaints or reminders from the client. We're the ones saying coming first with the updates and stuff, because we're much more organized. It's a byproduct of that. And then I would also say a big part of it is we've been meeting with you weekly, and these conversations, I think this is like the therapist part, where it's just kind of preventative of problems. Like when we're meeting weekly, if there's any sort of like uneasiness, or not uneasiness, just any sort of problem that's brewing, I think it just comes out right here, and then it's at the minimum it's out in the open, and we're at least working on it and addressing it, if not solved already. So I think, yeah, just confusion doesn't build and brew like that.
Yeah, I also have another thing to add that I didn't. The hiring process, I'm more confident in it, and I'm more willing to do it, right? So if I know things aren't really working, either if I know things aren't really working with a specific individual, I'm more confident in saying, hey, look, if you can't figure this out, we might have to, I'm more confident in being like holding him accountable, right? I'm confident that I could bring someone else, because a part of the process we do is qualifying. What does this person look like, right? So even right now, when I'm now having conversations with someone to fill a role or something, I know what questions I'm asking for. Do they check these boxes? Okay, I could bring them to the next stage. If not, I really don't have to waste my time on that. But then also doubling down on that, I'm more confident and more ready to build my business in other areas, right? I'm more willing to take on more clients, because I know, okay, I have a process where I can onboard another social media coordinator, another brand strategist. There's an outline now for them that can plug them in, and now I have a team of people who understand it as well that can assist. And now I have you, right? So now I've already had conversation with you, and I have another conversation with, okay, new social media coordinator. I know now when she gets on that call, it'll iron out some of the things that might have I wouldn't have been able to do in the past. So we haven't necessarily been able to see that yet, just because I haven't necessarily hired yet. But I'm as the leader of the team, I'm more willing to, and I have been looking to now expand in certain areas and do those things.
That's great. It's really good to hear that the value has extended beyond, or far beyond, the meetings that we've had. It's like goes into confidence, and also like the confidence between the team, and that's like, hey, if there's like tension, it's going to be ironed out when we talk to Grant, and like so being able to work through confusion on your own too.
Yep.
Great to hear. And finally, how likely are you to recommend us, and why should someone listening take action right now?
Yeah, so if it isn't clear already, I definitely recommend to any entrepreneur, but specifically going back to one of Shiv's points, right, of the confusion, or when he was thinking, why we're not a big company, we don't need to hire, we're smaller, we can figure out our own. I feel like it's more beneficial for us as a smaller company, as especially as an entrepreneur. I have so many things I'm working on, right? I quickly pass over my team satisfaction, or like that because I don't, I'm focused on X's and O's, I'm focusing on this client and what I need to do. So as a smaller company or a startup, even a smaller team, right, it is extremely beneficial to kind of get the foundation right, and so that you can grow into what you want to, and then that kind of builds that team culture. Like I said, just knowing that we have this, just having my team on this call, it makes me feel better knowing that, look, they know I'm spending my time trying to make this work more, right? They know I'm not just trying to use them for X amount of hours so that I can make my money and keep pushing. I'm trying to build a culture. I'm trying to make sure it works. I'm trying to make sure we're all on the same page, because it's more than that. So I would definitely recommend that. And I think honestly, at whatever stage you are, you're going to get value out of it, because clarity is important, especially with your team.
That's great to hear. I'm so glad I'm providing that value for you.
Yeah,
Shiv, what do you think?
definitely.
I would say I definitely would recommend also to start. And as for why, I would say that the service you offer is very unique. I think the benefits that come from these sessions shows up in a lot of different places. It shows, we've talked about clarity of roles, we've talked about headspace, time saving, client satisfaction. I think that's just the nature of what you're offering. It goes back to how customized it is, and you get to know us, and you're able to really help our problems. And it's also it's very low commitment too. We all we do is show up on a meeting once a week. I don't believe we do any work outside of that. So yeah, it's just us showing up on a meeting. You're prepared to help us. It goes smoothly. You run it. You take care of it. And yeah, we've seen improvements. So I would absolutely recommend.
Yeah, and that's a great point too, because I want it to be very, very low commitment. It's just easy, like don't get in your way in the business, just an hour of your time a week. That's it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm glad it's been very helpful, even though it's only been a couple meetings that we've been through. So that's great.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. Well, thank you guys so much for doing this. And it has been a pleasure working with you, and I look forward to continuing working with you in the future.
You too.
Awesome. For sure.